Do you know why wheat bread is considered nutritionally superior compared to white bread? Polished rice is considered less healthy compared to brown rice. Millets, which had almost disappeared from our diet, are again becoming popular, particularly among the health conscious people. What is the reason for this? We are trying to answer these questions. Welcome to this video on structure and composition of cereals. The word cereal is derived from the Latin word ceres. It stands for the Roman goddess who is considered as the protector of grains. Cereals are seeds of monocotyledon family, Graminae or grass family. So cereals are nothing but they are cultivated grass. There is one more group of seeds known as millets, which are consumed as food in different geographical regions. Now some examples for cereals include rice, wheat, barley, rye, corn, oats, etc. Examples for millets include finger millet or ragi, jowar or sorghum, bajra or pearl millet, little millet, etc. They are known in different regions by different names. Now, though cereals and millets are discussed together, there is a slight difference between cereals and millets. Both belong to grass family, both are monocotyledons, but there is a difference between cereals and millets. Cereals are normally larger compared to millets. Millets are normally grown in hardy conditions. For example, where there is low rainfall, they are normally cultivated. Cereals are the staple foods of most of the people around the world and they are widely consumed, whereas millets are consumed by a small section of population. For example, jowar is a staple crop in North Karnataka, whereas ragi is a staple crop in South Karnataka. So the consumption of millets is restricted to the geographical areas in which they are normally grown. The importance of cereals. There are more than 50,000 different edible plants grown in the world, but only 15 of them provide 90% of the world's food energy. Nearly 70% of the cultivated area in the world is under cereal. Now there are three important crops, that is rice, wheat and corn, which provide 2/3 of the energy requirement. Now cereals are the staple foods of the majority of the people in the world. Now the term staple food refers to the food that forms a major part of the diet. They are consumed regularly, almost daily, and they supply the major part of our nutrients, particularly energy. So they form the bulk of food consumed by the humans. Cereals are also source of energy as well as protein. They provide a high percentage of energy to the human diet. Nearly 45% of our energy comes from cereals. Now this percentage increases as we go down the income ladder. That is, people from low income group consume more of cereals. Nearly 60 to 70% of their energy comes from cereals. So in developing countries, cereals are the most important providers of calories. They are also an important source of protein. Although cereals are not very high in protein, the quantity of cereals consumed is high. That is why they are also an important source of protein. In addition, cereals also provide fiber, B complex vitamins and some minerals. Cereals are also used as animal feed and they are also and provide raw material for industries. For example, starch. Now coming to the structure of cereals. The overall structure of cereal grain is basically similar, differing from one cereal to another only in details. So the seeds of wheat, maize, sorghum are naked, in the sense the seed coat is not covered by husk, whereas the seeds of rice, barley and oats are covered by husk. Now basically all cereals are made up of three parts, that is pericarp, endosperm and germ. Pericarp, it is also known as bran. This is the outermost layer. It protects the seed, and the innermost layer is the endosperm, and germ is the one which germinates. If you observe the structure of different cereals like wheat, rice, maize, barley, etc., basically the structure remains the same. They are made up of three parts, that is bran, germ and endosperm. Now coming to wheat, the kernel of wheat, it is about 1/8 to 1/4 inch long. It is ovoid in shape. There are about 30,000 different species of wheat. Coming to maize, maize is one of the major crops, particularly in western countries. It is of the size of a pea. It's also made up of germ, bran and endosperm. Coming to rice, rice or Oryza sativa. Nearly there are about 40,000 different varieties of rice. Most important staple food, particularly in Asian countries. It is about 5 to 12 mm long and 2 to 3 mm thick. There are short, medium and long grain rice varieties. Coming to barley. Barley is used as animal fodder and is also used in making distilled beverages. It resembles wheat but is lighter in color. Its length is about 7 to 10 mm and width is about 2 to 4 mm. Now let us study the structure of cereal in detail, taking the typical example of wheat. Wheat represents the cereal. As already discussed, it is made up of 3 parts: pericarp, endosperm and germ. Pericarp is also known as bran. The outermost layer is pericarp. It constitutes about 14.5% of the grain weight. It consists of many layers. The outermost layer is epidermis. It consists of thin, long, rectangular cells. Next to epidermis is hypoderm. It is of varying thickness. The innermost layer consists of tube cells, followed by seed coat. Seed coat may be thin single or double layer. Now below the seed coat is aleuron layer. This layer is very important from nutritional point of view. It is next to seed coat and it surrounds the endosperm. It may consist of one or more layers. In case of wheat, aleuron is a single layer of thick-walled cubical cells and constitutes 7% of grain by weight. The cells contain 20% each of protein, oil and minerals and 10% sugar and is also rich in nicotinic acid. Thus, it is important from nutritional point of view. The aleuron layer and all the covering external to it constitute bran. Now, this layer might be removed during milling and polishing. Endosperm. Endosperm constitutes 83% of the grain by weight. So, this is one of the most important part of the grain. Endosperm consists of cells of varying size, shape and composition. Endosperm cells mainly consist of starch and protein. The starch is in the form of spherical granules, which may be a single granule or many granules may be tightly packed together. These starch granules are embedded in a matrix of protein. The starch granules in wheat are simple and in rice up to 60 granules are packed together. Now the next part is germ or embryo. It forms about 2.5% of the grain weight. It is separated from the starchy endosperm by a layer known as scutellum. The function of scutellum is to mobilize the food reserve in the endosperm and transmit it to the embryo during germination. Embryo is rich in protein and fat. Most of the B complex vitamins are present in scutellum. The presence of fat in germ brings about rancidity of fat during storage and therefore germ is removed during processing. Germ is a part that germinates under favorable condition. It has rudimentary root and shoot. Now let's study the nutritional composition of cereals. Cereals are made up of carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, minerals, water, vitamins and enzymes. Coming to carbohydrates. Carbohydrates provide energy. 80% of the dry matter of cereals is carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are of two types. One, crude fiber. Crude fiber refers to cellulose, hemicellulose, pentose and etc. Among soluble carbohydrates, starch is the most important soluble carbohydrate. A small amount of dextrin and sugar like glucose, sucrose, maltose are also present. The amount and type of fiber is of significance in nutrition. Coming to proteins, cereals contain 6 to 12% of protein and provide more than 50% of the daily protein requirement. Rice contains less protein, that is 7%, as compared to wheat. Wheat provides 12%. So rice provides 7%, wheat provides 12% protein. But among cereals, rice protein is of better quality. The amino acid composition of proteins varies in cereals. Cereals generally lack the amino acid lysine. Therefore, mutual supplementation of cereals and pulses is beneficial. Protein is present in embryo, scutellum, aleuron layer, and endosperm. The type of proteins present in cereals are albumins, globulins, gliadin and glutenin are present in wheat. They are gluten proteins. A hybrid cereal called triticale has been developed by cross-breeding wheat and rye. Higher protein, about 16%, and better amino acid balance are characteristics of triticale. Now coming to lipids. Lipids are present to the extent of about 1 to 2%. Most lipids are present in germ and bran. Considering the amount of cereal consumed, it is estimated that fat present in cereals can meet 50% of our essential fatty acid requirement. Cereals and pulses together nearly meet our nutritional requirement for essential fatty acids. Coming to minerals, 95% of the minerals are phosphates and sulfates of potassium, magnesium, and calcium. A considerable part of phosphorus is present in the form of phytin. The phosphorus and calcium present in phytin is not available, and it also decreases the iron absorption. Ragi, which is rich in calcium, and bajra, which is rich in iron, their bioavailability is reduced because of these anti-nutritional factors. Vitamins. The whole cereals are an important source of B complex vitamins, particularly thiamine and niacin. Cereals also provide vitamin E. They do not have vitamin C, B12 or beta carotene. Coming to anti-nutrients, cereals contain high levels of phytates. Phytates are mostly present in aleuron layer. So milling affects the level of phytates. Phytates can bind and reduce the bioavailability of minerals, particularly iron, calcium and zinc. Enzymes. Amylase, protease and lipase are present in cereals and their activity increases during germination. Till now what we have discussed is the general composition of cereals and millets. There are about 24 different cereals, millets and their products. To make a wise choice in including them in the diet, we need to know the composition of each of these cereals, millets and their products. For this, we can refer the Indian Food Composition Table, one of the most comprehensive database on food composition, and this is published by ICMR, National Institute of Nutrition, in the year 2017. It is freely downloadable, available in National Institute of Nutrition website. Now, this table is taken from ICMR NIN IFCT table 2017. Now, if you consider dietary fiber plays an important role in regulation of blood glucose levels. Hence, it is important for people suffering from diabetes. Studies have shown that dietary fiber reduces cholesterol levels. So, it is also important for people suffering from high cholesterol. Fiber also plays an important role in preventing constipation. Now, if we compare the fiber content of cereals and millets, for example, starting from bajra, jawar, ragi, if you compare the total dietary fiber, you can make out that in general, millets have about 10 to 15 grams of dietary fiber, whereas cereals contain anywhere in the range of 3 to 4 grams. So, dietary fiber is one of the most important nutrient provided by millets. That is the reason why they are becoming more popular these days. In case of rice, there are 3 types listed here: As you can see, you have brown rice, you have parboiled milled rice and raw milled rice. Brown rice is less polished rice. Parboiled rice, it actually refers to rice which is partially boiled, that is rice which is subjected to an additional process of boiling in water to reduce the breakage of grains during milling. And you have milled rice which is nothing but polished white rice. Now if you compare the total fiber content between brown rice and the polished white rice, it's almost reduced to half. Now compare that with the partially boiled rice. It is better compared to milled rice but less than that of brown rice. Now coming to wheat, there are two items listed here. Wheat flour refined, which is nothing but maida. The fiber content, you can note that it is about 2.76 gram per 100 gram of edible portion. Now compare this with the regular wheat flour atta. This is 11.36. So there is a difference between maida or refined wheat flour and wheat flour. That is the reason why some nutritionists, they call maida as a white enemy. Now coming to the energy content of cereals and millets. Now this last column gives the energy content of cereals and millets and their products in terms of kilojoules per 100 gram of edible portion. If you compare the energy content of the common millets, that is bajra, jowar and ragi. Ragi provides 50 kilojoules less energy compared to jowar. Jowar provides 50 kilojoules less energy than bajra. But these differences are not very huge again. Now coming to cereals, rice for example, whether it is raw, milled or parboiled, it provides more or less the same amount of energy. Wheat, now when we compare wheat, whether it is refined wheat flour which is commonly known as maida and the regular wheat flour, maida provides 130 kilojoules more energy than wheat flour. So refined wheat flour provides more energy and less fiber. That is the reason why it's better to go for regular wheat flour than refined wheat flour. If we compare the energy content of wheat and rice, rice provides about 14,070 kilojoules and refined wheat flour also provides the same amount of energy. Now wheat flour provides 130 kilojoules less. So although there is a difference between wheat and rice, one need not shift from being a regular rice eater to wheat eater or vice versa. It is quite difficult. Rather, one can manage by regulating the quantity consumed. Now coming to the water-soluble vitamins, B-complex vitamins, as already discussed, cereals are an important source of B-complex vitamins, particularly thiamine and niacin. The extent of these vitamins depends directly on the extent of milling. So if we compare rice, which is brown rice and milled rice, you can make out that there is a huge difference in terms of thiamine as well as niacin between brown rice and milled rice. So polishing of rice drastically brings down the B-complex vitamins. Now coming to wheat, you can note that the refined wheat flour, commonly known as maida, the thiamine content is 0.15 and niacin is about 0.77 milligram. Now compare this with the wheat flour or the common atta. It's 0.42 and 2.37 milligram per 100 gram of edible portion respectively. So nearly there is 50% loss of B-complex vitamins in refined wheat flour when compared with the regular wheat flour. Coming to minerals, ragi or finger millet is an important source of calcium and iron. Bajra is also an important source of iron, but the bioavailability of these minerals is less, mainly because of the presence of anti-nutritional factors like phytates. Rice flakes also provides a good amount of iron, mainly because it is processed in iron containers. Now coming to the other minerals, cereals are an important source of potassium and zinc. Rice provides a good amount of selenium. So to summarize, cereals in general are made up of three parts, namely bran or pericarp, which protects the seed. It is rich in fiber and B complex vitamins. Endosperm, it constitutes a major part of cereal, almost 80% by weight of the grain, and provides starch and protein. Germ, it's a part that germinates and is rich in lipids. Bran and germ are removed during milling. So the extent of milling directly affects the nutritive value of cereals in terms of fiber as well as B complex vitamins. So thank you for watching till the end. Hope it is clear why white rice and refined wheat flour are considered by some people as white enemies from nutritional point of view. Why we need to include millets in the diet. Hope the information will help you in making better nutritional decisions.